And do we want to take the,
The Village of Oxford Council meeting, April 9th, 2019, will come to order. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance and we have a moment of silence for all who serve in uniform. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we call the roll?
Bailey?
Here.
Alma?
yes,
Logan?
Here.
Kemp?
Yes.
Ross? Yes.
Is this a good time to consider excusing his absence?
I'll make a motion to excuse Joe Frost from the April 9th, 2019 regular meeting.
Support.
You need
Yeah.
to say all in.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. Okay. We have later on an announcement of a joint meeting, but it's showing on the agenda as after a closed session. So we can either move it up or else I can make the announcement during council comments.
There is no closed
It should
session.
say none
There
there.
is no closed session. Oh, good.
Should say none.
Good. I'll cross it off. Thank you. I believe we have no we have an agenda. Does anybody have any comments or changes to be made in the agenda?
Yes, if I can, I would like to request that we move the item number 10F, village policy regarding social media, to a special session or a special meeting with council to discuss best practices and look at some alternative social media policies.
I'll support for purposes of discussion. Does anyone have any reason why we need to address that at this meeting? I'm not hearing anybody. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
I'd also like to move the vehicle
Yes.
replacement down to new business, so 10 high. And then I'd like to remove G and H to the future meeting also, if no one has a problem with that. So it'd be F, G, and H off, and then adding I.
Does the clerk have all that Mo just said? Okay. We need a second.
I support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, those were adjustments to the agenda. Now we have the agenda itself.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I'll support. I don't hear any discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I believe we have no presentations this evening, is that correct? Okay. I believe we have no public hearings. Okay. Now we have the call to the public. This is a good time for anybody who wants to speak about any topic relating to our community and its government. There will be other opportunities later on in this meeting as well. Nothing right now. Now we have to address items on the consent agenda. We have 8A, receive and file items, and 8B, approval items. Do we have any motions on how to deal with that?
We moved A, right?
Well, did anybody have any questions on the minutes?
No.
and we moved the vehicle. So I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda items, the remaining items in A, and consent agenda items A2. So A1, the remaining, and A2.
Okay.
8A2.
I'll second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now for B, we need a roll call, and the motion should mention the amount of the bills, just so we have all our numbers straight.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda item 8B, 1, 2, and 3, including the bills in the amount of $165,694.43.
Second.
Okay, any comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have, under unfinished and old business, we have resolution number 1908. That's the 8th resolution of the year 19, I believe, to renew our agreement, which has been going on for years, with Oxford Township for summer tax collection and settlement. That's here in the here in the packet somewhere. Here we go.
Is this the same as last year?
Word for word?
What?
I was asking them if it was the same as last year.
Oh, I believe so.
Yes, it is the same from the year before that, and the year before that. The number of the resolution has changed and the date.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
Any questions?
And there's a place where there's 3 different words, which I pointed out to the clerk that she can plug in one or the other or the third one, whichever one she likes the best.
I'll make a motion to
It's-
adopt resolution 1908.
I'll support. And that's not a substantive issue. The 3 words that I pointed out to her essentially all mean the same thing. All in favor?
No, roll call vote.
Roll call. I just said roll call. Yeah.
Okay, Logan,
Yes.
Alma,
Yes.
Pep,
Yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Frost, absent.
Thank you. Okay. We have a report on the famous M24 project. Would you like to
Yes,
go over it quickly?
there's 2 things. Glenn, our director of the DDA, has provided some background information. I'd like him to kind of go over that first, and then I have a amendment there as well. Kind of 2 different areas we're covering. So maybe Glenn, if you want to touch base or answer any questions, or he's here if you have any questions for him in regards to what he's written.
Do we have paper copy of what you have for us?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure whether that was new information or already in our packet. Thank you.
It was, I think, it was out there tonight, though.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm not sure if we got emailed earlier on. With the DDA logo on it.
Yeah.
For public transparency, would it be okay if we called Glenn to the podium and kind of just gave us a brief overview? Thanks, Glenn.
If he's willing.
Good evening, Glenn Page, Village of Oxford Downtown Development Authority, Executive Director. Basically what you've got is a memo summarizing the activity for the last 60 days for the M24 project. We've had a couple of meetings. The end result out of it is we're actually on target for our design work at this point. We did 19 of the 21 special provisions for the design project. Special provision basically means anything that's not on I-75 we have to have a specific approval for, and we have to get that through 3 different departments in Lansing. So we're ahead of the game on that. Our final designs are due June 7th, So we're well on track to meet that deadline. The actual letting of the funding and the letting of the bids for this project will occur in December of this year. So we'll know more about the schedule of construction and other factors of that. You can expect them to come before this council and ask for a waiver on their noise ordinance so that they can work beyond 5 o'clock, as which is stated in their previous past projects, is they'd like to be able to work till dusk on this project during the summer hours. Financing, we're actually ahead of our projections for funding on this, so that we're in good shape for that. The last major item of note was with regards to the detour route and the maintenance of traffic. And on March 24th, they formally approved their draft maintenance of traffic routes. And there's a large map behind me if you have interest in that and looking at it. But it's the same detour route on Glassby to Oxford Road up to Ray Road that we've been discussing all along. So
For the benefit of anybody who's listening or watching on electronically, you're referring to M24.
yes.
I heard you mention a different highway. Yeah, it's all M24.
And just to follow up on that, at that meeting in March, when they finalized the detour, something MDOT throughout that day was the possibility of closing off the entrance into Oxford Lake subdivision as you come up off Granite Road. I hadn't heard it before, I don't think Glenn had heard that before. Chief Schultz hadn't heard that before either, so that was news to us. It's not solid that that's yet what they're going to do. Obviously, they would need to leave staggered barricades or something to allow emergency vehicles to come in and out. It was kind of new to us. I questioned why couldn't they at least leave the southbound exiting traffic open if they do want to close it. We haven't heard anything else about that yet, so that's kind of still hanging out there. The detour route is done and established, but there's a couple things out around the border that they haven't nailed down yet. I think they're responding to public information in response to their questions. Maybe floated that idea, but it wasn't guaranteed that was going to be the case that night or that day. We'll try to find out more about that, and I haven't heard anything more since that interview, Chief.
No.
So
Who makes that decision?
that's a good question. It's our street. They would have to coordinate, of course, with emergency, police and fire to make sure that it's adequate. If they are going to have some kind of staggered thing there, if the vehicle's going to make it through, there would be signage there. And I question why they would have to eliminate the southbound traffic out, even though it may be difficult to get out of there with the amount of traffic. The amount of traffic northbound on the detour route, just like northbound on 24, isn't always bumper to bumper. So why would they allow people to come out there in those, off times of the day? So we'll have to follow up with them on that to see where that stands.
As I understand it, the rationale is that you want to minimize the amount of, quote, cut-through traffic that people would be doing driving through the sub when really they don't want to be at the sub, they just don't want to get around the construction zone. And if you want to minimize cut-through traffic, you only need to cut it one place in one direction. You don't have to cut it like everywhere in all directions.
And I don't know where or who exactly made that request to them, or who thought that was an idea, who came up with that idea. They didn't mention that at all. I don't know if it was some residents from the subdivision that reached out to MDOT. It wasn't anybody from this office that floated that idea, so I'm not sure how it came about, how we're going to resolve as to whether it's a good idea or not. We have to follow up with them and meet with them and work it out, because we had met, Chief Soul, Chief Schultz, myself, I had met with the Oxford Lake subdivision a month and a half ago, maybe, about what they may be able to do to minimize traffic through there. They talked about temporary speed bumps, they talked about stop signs at every intersection through there to make it painful to drive through there, but then they're gonna make it painful for themselves too.
Yeah.
We haven't heard any more on that.
I was interested to see that what was proposed would only affect one rush hour of the day and not the other one.
But the southbound traffic coming down 24 will have no reason to deviate to go
Yeah,
west of town or
Yeah.
east of town now.
because they're working on one side of M24. Yeah.
So I have no doubt that this is just the beginning of many anxieties that we're gonna see from the community regarding this project.
Doubtless.
So if I may, Glenn, ask a couple questions just regarding on what we're doing as far as public communications. It seems a little bit early to start this, but I actually could argue that we are behind the ball as far as communicating to the public what this timeline looks like, what these projects are going to, or how these projects are going to affect each member of our community per where they're located, you know. So what has been done, from my understanding as of now, there has been a task force established, an M24 task force.
Yes.
And we have done the MDOT town hall, if you want to call it that. It was more of an open house kind of structure, but that was MDOT that had hosted that.
That was an MDOT hosted meeting, discussions with the project manager. They're looking at holding 2 more additional open houses or public meetings here in the village to discuss the project.
Okay. So in what kind of style or what kind of forum do we need to host, or, because what I'd like to do is propose that we start scheduling regular town halls, forums, whatever you want to call them, with the public to openly communicate this. If I don't know where this information is accessible currently, I don't think that we're updating the website with any kind of updates with M24. I'm not sure.
Nothing on there specifically like showing maps and stuff.
Okay, that's something. But I would really like to see more. I think that would alleviate a lot of the people trying to go straight to MDOT and causing, you know, some kind of miscommunication and confusion. And so if I may propose that we look into setting these dates and in communication and partnership, obviously with DDA and any other committees, the M24 task force that exists, I would like to bring all of these people and all these committees to the table so that we can really kind of put out there what's happening, what the layout of the plan is. And that way we're able to hear from, you know, our constituents and our residents about their concerns and just have that open line of communication there, as well as having it accessible online. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do that on the website, or we can probably talk about that a little bit more when we start talking about our social media policy and what that looks like.
We actually have several dozen pages dedicated to the M24 project on the DDA website.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's center located. It just says M24 updates. You click on it, it takes you through to why we're doing the project, the preliminary site plans, what it's going to cost us, what we're trying to get out of it. So,
Are those 20 pages going to be? Is that in layman's terms? Are people going to be able to understand it? Is that readable for the average?
the reason, the why we're doing this project and the impacts it's going to have is written mostly as a press release.
Okay.
And it's been published in the newspaper. It's been disseminated through Facebook on occasion, and it's been pushed out through our newsletter to business owners.
Do we have a call for questions anywhere on that site? Or as far as like, is there a space where people can either contact you or leave comments or inquiries?
It's an email contact to my
Email?
office.
Okay. Okay.
Do we have a link on the village's website to that?
Just to the DDA site, it doesn't specifically mention M24 project, but we should make it
We
say
might wanna-
M24 info and have it click and go right to that spot. I can do that.
Okay.
Get the hang of that new site a little bit.
Do you have a preference about who picks up the ball and runs with it? Is this a DDA thing, or is this
I think
a...
this needs to be a joint effort. I mean, obviously, DDA has really been running with the ball on this one. Council, I think, should step up. We should be just as informed as DDA and the task force.
Yeah.
And I think as far as, you know, a coordinated mission to get this information to the public, that's something we all need to discuss.
I'm just thinking about, you know, whose logo appears on the top of the announcement that goes on the bulletin board for the meeting and so on.
I'm just wondering if I just heard Katie volunteer to be that person.
And it sounded sort of like that, didn't it?
Joe Frost already sits on the task force, and we're in the process of forming together a communications sub-task force.
Okay, so this is already in the works?
Yes.
Good.
Okay, this is
Good.
great.
We have a marketing and promotions firm that we're looking at bringing in through the DDA, through its affiliations, Main Street Oakland County. They're going to send us a consultant who can work with that team, build a marketing and communications plan for the entire project.
And that's really the second prong of that, is because that's gonna affect the downtown businesses differently. I think you're gonna have two main, two causes for concerns, residential and then the commercial. So if we can, if you guys are gonna run with that committee and then formulate that, that's great. Just, if you could, just keep all council members informed on that. I'd love to.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn.
Joe, was there a third item? It seemed like you had the
I had
same
some other
item.
stuff that are more related to our end of things,
Yeah.
and that's what you'll see, I have two different memos basically. And the one of them has changed even since yesterday. The memo that talked about the M24 project and water main.
Yeah.
That water main is a 1,000-foot water main that's been in question. It's been in the water reliability studies for 2009 and 2015 studies from Ensley down to Lincoln. The prevailing thought has been that it's an old cast iron, I think, and a 10-inch main that is outdated. It's a poor material, needs to be upgraded. While we're there, let's do it. Back in December, AECom, who is doing the design and engineering work for MDOT, he reached out to me and he came up with an MDOT project from 1984 that showed that perhaps that water main had been replaced as part of the larger MDOT project. It was doing a big storm from basically from Pollyant Bridge all the way down to Lincoln, a storm drain project. We saw that, it looked promising, but we didn't have any way to back it up that it had yet been done.
And what year was that?
84.
84, okay.
And so that project called out for it to be from an old 4-inch upgraded to a 12-inch ductile iron, a newer material, larger diameter, 12-inch, like a lot of the newer lines are around the village now. At one of the meetings at the MDOT TSC a couple months ago, something came up about the AT&T building location, and they have numerous conduits coming out heading north and south down M24. The MDOT was concerned about where are those conduits, how are they where they cross M24, how deep are they? No one could answer. Are they encased in concrete like they have seen them in the past? And they weren't sure of that either because they were all put in the 50s. MDOT told them, we don't really love to go out and tear into our highways, but go and tear into that highway. We want to know where you're at. How is this large storm drain that we're putting down the middle of this, what are we going to run across? So as they started to move towards that, I was talking to Doug Scott and all back and forth, and we thought maybe we should go through the expense or the trouble to find out if in fact that water main on 24 has been updated or not. So I've been reaching out to AT&T. They pointed me to their contractor last week or so, trying to get an idea of while they're there, while they have the MDOT permit, while the lane closure's done, while all the barrels and everything are set up, could they possibly go a few hundred feet down and excavate, and so we could go down and look at our line and find out once and for all, are we looking to spend $120,000 to replace a water main or not? We do know that many leads, about 20 or so leads coming off that to feed both sides of the highway. We're gonna have to address those leads because they're older and have to be upgraded as well. And so we started digging around more. I did find an old print in the basement. I mentioned it a month or two ago. So it made me think, okay, maybe it did happen, but we couldn't find any contracts and stuff. Just yesterday, I had come down in the basement looking through all the minutes in 1984. We came up with some documents, the minutes managers reports that indicated, one of them said that the 12-inch water main on M24 is installed. And then they talked earlier, before that, that the project was getting ready, the state drain project. They referred to it 2 or 3 different times in that year. So that makes us feel that, okay, it probably did get done in 84. So at this point, we're not going to do what this memo suggests and follow up and continue on to do the test excavation. We're going to rely on what we believe to be the case now, is that it was upgraded to 12-inch ductile iron, and we will then just plan on doing the work that we need to do for the leads coming off to feeding the businesses and the homes. Just today, I opened up a letter from the DEQ, and Don and I were talking about the new lead and copper rules that the state has put forth, and that is gonna make these leads much more expensive and extensive than it should be. The state is being sued by counties and cities about these rules.
Well, they're state right now. The rules are,
Yeah.
the application of the rules are.
So we don't know where that's gonna be at this time next year, where that's gonna stand. We know we plan on doing the work over to the curb stops, which is our responsibility typically. We'll know, hopefully, with some clarity next year, whether we have to do any work outside of our normal scope. But for now, that, from yesterday to today, changed about we want to do that test excavation. We believe the documentation we have gives us a good assurance that that has been done.
And so far as we know, that 10-inch section, quote, 10-inch section, is the only one at issue, so that
Correct.
if that information is correct, we don't have any 10-inch anywhere in the village.
I don't think so. Everything else is smaller diameter or 12-inch, yeah, that was used. The second page, the other memo I put out had to do with the detour and the lights. And the one detour I already touched on about potential, that came out of that meeting a few weeks ago, about a potential detour at the Oxford Lake subdivision. One of the other meetings we had down there had to do with all the utilities. There's a lot of utilities buried in M24, sewer, water, storm drain, natural gas, telephone, and things like that.
There's still railroad tracks down there?
You'll find out. Somebody will find out. I'm sure.
Sorry, I shouldn't bring up things like
So, one of the issues with our street light plan down the streetscape is the lights are scheduled to be pushed farther to the south and stuff. And with MDOT forcing the natural gas lines back farther and some of the Michigan Bell or AT&T lines back farther, it's fine to have our electrical wiring go down there and underneath the sidewalk, but there isn't space for us to sink the footings for the light poles. They said you're gonna have to move them behind the right-of-way line. So that means we're gonna have to be in private property zone. Been waiting for AECom's guy from the west side of Michigan to reach out to us, and I mentioned that here, I heard from him yesterday, finally. He's gonna be out next week. He, Don, and Glenn and I will be meeting, talking about the lighting inventory down there, walking, getting an idea of where they are. How many of the light poles in that section will have to have like a 3-foot by 3-foot easement granted in order for it to be set behind the sidewalk? Things like that. They may have to be moved because where they're going to be was a reasonable spot, and not to move it back, it may not be able to. So we'll find out more. I think it's next Wednesday, he's gonna be here from Grand Rapids, from AECom. So that will cause a little bit of extra work on our end to try to facilitate those lights and working with legal counsel maybe, or maybe with MDOT a little bit on those easements, because they are expanding their easement in some areas.
We're gonna have to be infringing on some private property.
Right.
When he comes to Oxford, will that be a meeting like that citizens could attend?
In regards to streetlights,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
probably be dealing with individual property owners, maybe, depends on how many lights there are.
No, I mean the guy who's coming
Oh.
from,
No, it's
No,
not.
no, he's coming to meet and just to go walk the area to look
It's
at
not
the
a
street
public-
light.
not a
Yeah,
public-
it doesn't have to be posted and
No,
stuff?
no, it's gonna be, it won't be a public meeting, it's just gonna be me,
Yeah.
Glenn, and Don, and then Don will help him maybe access a few of the lighting panels down there, then she'll be done with Don.
Yeah.
Then we'll walk maybe and see where, because of the, Crystal Metz laid out the streetlights where they look good and would be nice if we could put them there,
On
that may
paper.
not be the case.
Yeah.
Right, so we have to go then and walk it and see what kind of adjustments have to be made. Now, the MDOT is forcing us to move beyond the right of way because of all the other utilities in the way. That's another wrinkle we have to deal with.
Yeah, thank you.
But that's about it on the 24 project. Yes, chief. Oh, yes, you got one other issue that Mo had asked about at our meeting, about the emergency vehicle access points, and chief wants to discuss some of that.
Evening, council. I had a meeting back in March. AECom came out, a couple other representatives from MDOT came out and discussing emergency access from the fire department once the M24 project starts. Because as we've been saying all along, traffic from Drainer Road north will all be diverted over to Glassby Street. So that means that literally nobody can go north on M24 from Drainer Road all the way up to basically Gateway Drive on the north end. And that means nobody, not even police department, not even fire department can go north. So that means I can't come out of my station and turn right and go north to go any place up that way. So in order for me to go north to serve basically 50% if not more of the community, I've got to figure out a way that I can get to go north. If I go east towards Glassby Street to go north to Ray Road like everybody else, then that means I'm in the flow with 30,000 cars trying to get in and going north at the same time. So for that, they are looking at right now getting estimates, prices, possibilities of putting an emergency stoplight at East Street and Glassby Street that would be triggered by the fire department. So that when we come down East Street, that we could hit the button and the light would change and that would stop traffic on Glassby Street long enough for us to pull out and be able to go north, and or also if you have to go south or out to Lakeville Road to get out that way. So they're looking at that on the east side for us. On the west side, we are looking different ways to get through. One of the ways was basically to come all the way south to Burdick Street to go all that way, and then divert to go all the way back up that way, which, takes time to doing it. Being as, I guess it's a crux, being as an old timer, a long time resident of the village and the township, realizing that Dayton Street basically dead ends, and there's a guardrail, and then Dayton Street on the other side in Waterstone dead ends at a guardrail, that over the years now the weed trees have now grown up, and now you have a few trees in that area. That is possibility, if that was to be opened up, then I could come across from Davison Street to Pleasant Street to Dayton Street out into Waterstone, that could get me heading, north, east, or whatever direction, or west, whatever I need to go up that way. They said that MDOT would take care of everything that it took to open that up, to make it accessible, whether put gravel down or pave that little short section for the season. Also put any signage up that we needed that would say emergency vehicles only, or however, it gets left at that point. Afterwards, if the village and everybody so chooses to make it shut back up again, that nobody wants it to be open again, then they would even come back to put the guardrail back up, and they even mentioned that they had to plant a tree or two back in it, they would plant a tree back into it, whatever it took to make it so that we can have access through there. So basically come at this time to the village to give or ask for permission, or working towards that, to be able to get permission for it. Well,
Because I live on Dayton.
put a lemonade stand in front of your house.
I can, but I'm looking for extra income. What is that gonna save you?
Time-wise?
Taking Dayton to Dayton versus Burdick to Waterstone, I don't even know what that road is called.
Burdick, all right, let's see.
To the first
24 down to
entrance.
Burdick Street
Well-
down to Waterstone.
Well, you could always take Pleasant to Burdick, so there's other ways to get to Burdick.
Correct. The difference is getting off of 24, because again, 24 is going down to one lane.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be two-lane traffic coming south. So again, it's gonna be bumper to bumper, 30,000 going south, just like Glassby's gonna be 30,000 going that way. So
But you gotta take 24 to get to First, to get to Pleasant, to get to Dayton anyway.
I have a stoplight in front of the fire hall though that I can click, which will stop all southbound traffic at that point. So that gets me right out to there, then I can immediately get over onto Pleasant and cut through that way then.
So what does opening Dayton save you as far as going from Burdick to Waterstone instead of Dayton to Dayton?
Hopefully at least 5
Because then
minutes.
you've gotta go down to Waterstone to go anywhere.
He'll be in traffic too. Or traffic won't be on Dayton, it'll be on Burdick.
Right, but not a lot of traffic, it's just Burdick. I mean, as much traffic as is always there.
Right, anything that helps speed up or helps get me through there is what we're looking for.
I'm just wondering what it's really gonna save to open that up, because I know the neighbor's gonna ask.
5 minutes. It's gonna be, we've got the neighbors on the other side of town going, please
Absolutely.
don't drive through my subdivision. You got the people on this side, don't drive through my
And
subdivision.
Pete,
You got
it is
people
not
on
my
Dennis's
intent to
street
say no
saying,
to the
"Don't
fire
drive on my
department."
street," so
I just need to know what it's gonna save you, so I can say to somebody, it's gonna save them 5 minutes, it's gonna save them 20 minutes, it's
5
gonna
minutes.
save, okay.
If it's my
That's-
house burning,
that's the
I'll take that
question.
5 minutes. Gladly. Take the
And if I
advantage.
may make one very short comment, if it saves one life, it's worth doing.
Absolutely. I know the neighbor's gonna ask, I wanna be able to tell them why you're asking
more
this.
likely on both sides of the guardrail, they're gonna be people having,
Right,
you know,
absolutely.
concerns. So, and, maybe once it's open and they see it and a couple of them drive down there, it's like, well, it's really not that bad after all. So we'll see how the whole thing works out. But they would say, like I said, if it takes any signage that gets put up there, emergency traffic only, whatever, DOT would accept the responsibility of the whole thing.
And I was gonna circle back to Mike Soul here and say, I would assume there's already in the motor vehicle code fines and stuff for using a unauthorized emergency vehicle use only
Yes.
passage that are sufficient, or if you think we need more to work on that, maybe we can, but I would let us know if you think those are sufficient, I guess.
Right.
The deterrence.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have codes on that.
I assumed there was something in place, but I didn't know if it was.
Yeah.
We want
I
big
assume-
fines, think big numbers.
Yeah, but you have to remember, this is temporary, 6 months.
Well, yeah.
And then be back to normal after that. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're
And
quite
from my
right.
end of it, I'm hoping that it doesn't happen as of April 1st, all of a sudden the road's closed. I mean, they're starting on the whole Drainer Road intersection first, of redoing everything down there, and then at the meeting that we talked to them, they projected it would close to June 1st practically before then they would be start moving north. So, you know, it's not gonna be the whole entire season, shorter season, and they're not gonna be able to tear all that concrete up and everything in, you know, one day from one end to the other. So I mean, I'm gonna push it out as long as I can push it out before we have to go back.
I guess those are my next one. Do we know? Does anyone know? Are they gonna go Drainer to Minnetonka to Burnt? What are their sections?
We have no, until a contractor is awarded the contract and the contractor comes forward to say what their plan is. I mean, they may even start at both ends at the same time. The main thing was they wanted to get Drainer Road intersection done first because that's where the detour is going to go. Then going forward from there, they could hit it at all directions or start from both ends and coming towards the middle. That's what their
They
option.
get to pick that and base their pricing on that.
Right.
And it's fine. I
So we don't know
just
yet.
want to know if there's any inkling.
We don't know
Not
yet.
yet.
Oh, yeah.
And even as far as, when you were talking earlier about as far as the town hall meetings or whatever, to explain to the people, again, they're even leaning towards, MDOT, I'm saying, leaning towards almost until the winter time before they actually have the town halls, because until they have schedules, until they have exact final drawing, till to start at that point, so,
There's too many I don't knows.
yes.
And those things that Glenn has here, those are the detour routes, so those are always hanging out here in the open space over here, if anyone wants to come in anytime and look at them. If they happen to be in water paint or water bill, they can stop, look at them, you know, so just to refresh themselves in case they aren't someone who goes online and stuff.
And those are detailed indications. Now, many of them will change, but they are very detailed.
Yeah, that's not gonna change now, that is the detour route.
No, I was talking about things like
Oh,
the curb cuts and things like that.
One more thing on that, we did talk about the light at Burdick and last week. The schools end of the fall, they're coming to winter, and asked, is there a possibility to get a left turn arrow there for the north-south traffic, because they use that going out to the middle school a lot. At the last, they were out here last fall, road commission, they looked at that light, a couple of guys that were here from the traffic engineering thought that maybe they could utilize the existing cabinetry out there, the equipment cabinets, and get away with that. At that last meeting, that a couple Fridays ago, there was some folks here from the road commission, and I told them I had never gotten that information from them. What was feasible, what it was gonna cost, whatever. So the following Monday, I got it. Well, it was $80,000, because they were gonna have to replace all the cabinetries and everything. But part of the conversation we had at the MDOT meeting about this detour is, and I went, circled back around and sent an email to MDOT. It's gonna be almost impossible for those buses heading southbound to turn left there with all that traffic. And so they should consider putting in that left turn light as part of this project. Because it's gonna be one bus per red light as they go on a red light when the green's over.
Yeah.
You know, so, they said, well, we understand. I said, yeah, what's gonna happen, it's gonna be backed up. I said, I think you should plan for it now, maybe make it part of the project and get it in, so we don't realize as the project goes that we wish we would have. And they're gonna take it into review and consideration. That was only about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, the crews came out, and actually, when they came out to survey the box there, and they were at, stopped at the fire hall, and they went through everything at that time. And hopefully, fortunately, the gentleman that works on the crew lives in the Oxford area, so he said it affects him too, so he wants to make sure something gets taken care of. But he was mentioning that he was going to try to potentially push them through as the same project as my emergency light there on East Street at the same time, so.
It's just whether we can get MDOT to pay for
Pay
it.
for it, right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Pete.
Next, we have the West Nile virus. We have a resolution, proposed resolution, which is 1907. And we have that in our packet here. I have one question.
Okay.
There's a mention here, all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provision of this resolution before us would get rescinded. Do we know of any conflicts?
No.
No, okay.
This is something that the county provides, basically,
Yeah.
it's their program. Don and those guys purchase the stuff and turn it in for reimbursement each year.
Yeah,
With the title.
that's good.
Region.
I was worried that we might have to change a whole bunch of resolutions, but apparently not.
In that program, are we allowed to pick what type of method of prevention.
They'd have to ask Mr. Brantley that one.
Want to go to the podium?
He'd love to.
Oh, well, he enjoys that a lot.
Tom Brantley, Public Works Supervisor. There are different methods that we can spend our money on. We do the large side dunks in the storm drains. That's what we've done for 13, 14 years. I mean, other communities do bug spray or the wipes. They pass them out at festivals. So there are different things that we can do. There's trapping you can do, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, but the dunks takes us about a day and a half to go out and do all the storm drains, catch basins.
And is that an environmental hazard at all?
No.
Like or is it toxic?
No, it's not toxic to fish or anything. If it drains the lake, it's not gonna affect,
Okay.
no, it's standard, the materials we're using, standard materials that, all other communities are using. There's 63 communities in Oakland County, and I think 54 of them are participated this year.
Okay.
And you know, Oxford starts out way ahead of almost all of the other communities, even before the treatments. I have yet to see one mosquito in the year 2009. And that's typical. Oxford doesn't have any swamps, therefore it doesn't have any mosquitoes.
Okay.
So that's really cool.
Need to burst that bubble.
If there's no questions, other questions, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 1907.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a vacancy on the Zoning Board of Appeals, and as I understand, there is at least one candidate.
If I may, Dave?
Yeah, go ahead.
These are kind of out of order, I guess, in a way. I mean, we have we'll have a vacancy once you accept the resignation at the next step.
This is true. This is true.
Going for it? Oh. Probably have passed a bylaw change.
If Marilyn Benner resigns, we're still gonna have a vacancy, even if we fill a vacancy.
Well, we do have her letter.
Yeah,
Yes, you do have it there.
so we'll still be down one, even if we appoint one tonight.
Is Mr. Randall's here?
Yes, he is.
You have a beautiful home.
Oh, thank you.
I toilet-papered it once. And we did a great job. And it wasn't that long ago.
Could have been last night, sir, so.
Well, do you have a preference whether you want to go up now or in a few minutes?
Oh, sure. Soon as I'm invited, I'll go.
Go ahead. Just say your name and address.
Sure. Adam Randall, 63 Pine Street.
No, into the mic.
Adam Randall, 63 Pine Street.
Okay.
You know, you might be too qualified for us.
You think so?
I'm just saying, you got a degree.
I was thinking the same thing, Mo. I looked at it and said, oh, he wants to go on the ZBA. Maybe we can talk him into running for council.
Baby steps.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest in
Thanks.
stepping up and
Thanks for
serving
having me.
our community. I think it's great.
What made you decide you wanted to do this?
You know, in my line of work, I do a lot of research of zoning board notes, planning commission notes, things like that, and I find myself, for some reason, mesmerized.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's good. We need those people.
So once a year, sir, if you're on the ZBA, we do a formal training session where we talk about all the legal aspects of the ZBA. The ZBA, as always, everyone knows my opinion, the ZBA is a very important function. It's the appellate body for the community. It's the court of last resort for those who wish to deviate from our ordinance scheme by way of variances and or challenging decisions. So we do a lot of training on it, and I view your qualifications as very receptive to this position as I reviewed them.
Thanks.
And it's the closest thing to a court that we have.
Yeah, it's our.
And in some ways, it does function as a court.
It's one step before court.
And you're generally available on Monday nights?
Sure.
Because they meet a lot.
I can find out.
I think they met once, twice last year.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
On demand kind of sort of.
Exactly.
indeed.
Okay.
But when it meets, the chips are down because the decision you make really makes a difference.
I'll take that.
It does make a difference.
Can I make a motion to appoint Adam Randalls to the ZBA board?
Support?
We have a motion and support. Any comments from anybody, including you, because
Thank you for considering me, and happy that I can help in any way.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks.
But we gotta
Take a vote?
It's not official yet.
we have a motion and a second.
do a roll call vote for that.
Yeah, be a good idea.
Pep,
Yes.
Logan,
Yes.
Helen,
Yes.
Bailey.
Yes.
Now it's official.
Ross, absent.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Or condolences, as the case may be. But, the thing is that, yeah, you're the closest thing to a court that we've got, but in a way, you're sitting in the middle of a big bullseye, because if you make a decision that displeases people, there you are in the bullseye.
Scared them off.
Yeah,
Be married.
yeah,
Are we doing the resignation now?
Yep.
yeah. We have a letter of resignation, unfortunately, from Marilyn Benner. And the Benner family has been very active in the community for some decades, I suppose.
Yep.
And now Marilyn has announced that she's resigning from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Marilyn Benner with regrets.
I support with regret. Go ahead.
No, it's-
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Fine.
That's it.
We have a motion and support. Any comments from anyone, including the audience for that matter? A number of you know the Benner family better than I do, in fact, since I've only been in Oxford since 1991.
Newbie.
No further comments. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have the Downtown Development Authority's budget. Does everyone have a complete copy of that? At one time, there was a copy that was missing one page. There should be 3 pages. No, excuse me, 4 pages.
Front and back, 4.
Yeah.
I have 2 pages.
Front and back, 4 total.
I have 2 pages,
Okay.
1 page front and back.
Put this
Okay.
for us
It's
tonight.
at your desk, Mo. You can between copy right here. All 4 pages.
Ah, there it is. Thank you.
She's the one. She's the number person. I'm a number person, but as soon as you put a $sign in front of the numbers, all of a sudden I don't have a clue.
I'm just wondering why we're adopting their budget tonight.
It was, Joe had asked last, at our budget workshop about that, and he wanted to see it on tonight's meeting.
But we're not adopting it.
They approved their own budget, but he said he wanted to see the DG budget on
This meeting, on this meeting.
So, and again, he'd asked for it, and he's not here, so I
But we
can't
adopt
speak.
the village budget in May, and this is part of the village
Yes.
budget.
Right.
So we're not adopting it tonight.
Right, he wanted,
Okay.
right. It's there because it was requested to be on there. Maybe it was for discussion purposes. I don't know exactly what his reason.
So we can, like, accept to review it and then
Receive and
discuss it
file.
in
Make a
May?
motion to receive and file the,
Okay. So I'll make a
Sounds
motion
good.
to receive and file the DDA budget.
Support.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Looking good though, Glenn. Nice.
Next, we have I guess it's a proclamation about the Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month, which is April of 2019. I'm looking at a one-page proclamation, which I guess we need Joe to sign it when he gets back. And there's 5 whereases. Whereas first whereas says essentially abuse and neglect are suffered by children. The second one is an idea, an estimate of the size of the problem. 1 of 10 children is affected by abuse. I'm afraid it really may be more than that, but it says 1 in 10. Whereas the reported maltreatment is only a portion of the overall problem. For many cases go unreported. The fourth whereas says, talks about the devastating consequences of physical and emotional abuse of our children. Fifth whereas, I'm abbreviating these, mentions CARE House of Oakland County. CARE is an acronym. I don't know what CARE stands for. Now therefore be it resolved, etc. So we're supposed to proclaim April 2019 as Child Abuse Prevention and Awareness Month in this village. Any comments? Motion to proclaim the proclamation?
Well, they're also asking everyone to put a pinwheel in the garden, in their gardens.
Yes, there is.
So if you got a garden, put a pinwheel in it. Get some wind power going and run the village that way. But I'll make a motion to approve the proclamation making April Child Abuse Prevention Month and Awareness.
Support. Okay, you were in front of me. Discussion on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're up to 10F, village policy regarding social media. I guess this is yours, Bob.
We moved the
F and G were moved.
And H.
Special meeting?
F, G, and H.
Yes.
Right.
Just
I
to
think
follow,
specifically F was moved to a special.
yeah,
meeting.
just
F was,
to
yes.
follow up on that, in 2015 and 2016, the council was considering a social media platform. Prior to adopting a social media platform or picking one that would be a push out only, they wanted some guidelines and they worked on those over several meetings that were reduced to writing, but I'm pretty sure, as I'm not very experienced, a lot of changes since 2015. So what you had before you was just printed off of an old version, and it was never really adopted because the village never picked a platform. So it's good we're starting fresh on that.
When you say platform,
A social media, if you read it closely, what you have in front of you, it says this only applies if and when the village selects
okay. gotcha.
or approves a social media, what do you call it? Help me, young people. A social media,
Like Facebook is a platform.
a platform. So it was
Instagram.
Go.
right. So we never picked one, so
Gotcha.
the policy never became effective.
Gotcha. So where do we stand?
We're gonna have a special meeting to address this as a special topic,
Yep,
and we already think approved that.
we did.
Would a workshop environment be more prudent to bounce ideas off each other rather than a meeting?
It might be. I was going to trigger, now that I've listened to some of the comments, there's a pretty good booklet put out by one of the organizations about social media that's pretty updated. I'll circulate it to the village manager and he can get it out to you all. Maybe you can all read that before we have our meeting. It's a compilation of what other communities have done recently with respect to social media and what pitfalls there's been in the court cases with respect to social media restraints, because you have to be very careful. So I'll try to circulate that by the end of the week, and then we should probably, I think a workshop would be better than a special meeting with less formalities, where we could sit at a table and just focus on this issue. Because I think it's a pretty important issue constitutionally and otherwise.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, when you said constitutionally, I was thinking, hey, First Amendment. But there are issues.
Part of the Constitution.
There are issues on both sides of this issue. Truth on both sides, I should say. All right. So we don't have to do anything that we haven't already done at this meeting. 10G, special event application for the Memorial Day Parade.
We put that out,
Yeah.
we deleted
The
that.
application
Yeah.
hasn't been received yet,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
hopefully it'll be ready for next meeting.
that's why it's not in the packet today. The agenda didn't get updated, so that's why it's still listed. H is administration office.
So we put that out.
We already moved to
And we
delete that
moved
for
that
that.
to delete, yes, you
Try the
did.
next one. We're almost there.
You did. We did not remove any items from the consent agenda.
Yes, we did.
The vehicle,
Patrol car.
we are now on I, the vehicle issue.
Okay,
So there was a correspondence that Chief provided, and I put copies of it on in front of you this evening. And Chief, why don't you step up and explain to them a little bit of the background? Because I know there was an email that Mr. Frost sent out inquiring about an option for leasing, and I know you had a little bit of background on that as well.
Right.
About that.
Good evening, council. As everybody's aware, we had a recent accident with one of our patrol vehicles, so we're in the position now of trying to replace that vehicle. And I went out and sought different avenues on trying to replace that vehicle from 3 different corporations, from Dodge to Ford to Chevy, with the best bargain for our buck. I think Joe had mentioned that Joe Frost had talked about possibly leasing vehicles. I had reached out to other chiefs in other communities, and in the past, it was practice to lease vehicles so you didn't have to put so much money into that budget to get your vehicles, and you can replace them ever so often. Looking into that, we're looking at a 7% interest rate if we were to look at leasing a vehicle in the future. I think we're in a good position right now to go ahead and purchase this vehicle, of course, if approved by the council today. With what I've found in the vehicles that are available right now, we are down a vehicle for our fleet, which is a dangerous position for us to be in. So we can't wait. Approximately right now, there are no vehicles available with the Fords or the Dodges right now. We're looking at a 90-day wait, and that's not counting 4 to 6 weeks to put the outfitting in the vehicles once it gets here, which puts us into the back end of the summer into September. And with the summer here and the events that are coming up, that's a dangerous position for us to be in, especially if we have, unfortunately, another incident with a vehicle. Then we're going to be down even more. Right now, after calling around, Gorno Ford was originally quoted us $33,000 for the Ford Explorer package. He was able to find a Ford Explorer for almost $3,000 less than that, $30,885, which is ready for purchase on the lot. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, it would be a 90-day wait. The cost to outfit the Explorer would be approximately $10,000. I just got the quote from Synergy that does outfit our vehicles. I said approximately $10,000. Actually, the actual quote is $9,962.26, so that was pretty close. The 4-wheel drive Chevy Tahoes are available at Berger Chevrolet, where we purchased our last Tahoe, but that comes at a $37,000, $300 tag and a $12,000 addition for outfitting, which is a pretty expensive replacement, which still puts Ford back in the lead. Chargers, and I mentioned before, I couldn't find a Charger. They're not available, and they're on a 90-day wait, which is also, that's not including the 4 to 6 weeks to wait to get them outfitted. So I'm requesting, because we do have this vehicle available from Gorno Ford, for the purchase of the Ford Explorer to replace the damaged vehicle, and this is counting the outfitting and minus the $9,957 that we got from insurance covering the vehicle that was damaged, at the cost of $30,928. And what I'm doing is requesting council's permission to go ahead and make that call and get that vehicle that is available immediately, so we can get that car outfitted and get it back in the rotation.
At the budget meeting, I know, I refresh my memory, I know you expressed which model would be your preference. long-term for your use? It was the Explorer, correct?
It was the Explorer. Unfortunately, the Dodge Chargers, we've had some issues with engine coils. We've had those vehicles in the shop, I could probably say at least a dozen times. And being a small agency, that puts a lot of time restraint and vehicles that are in the shops constantly. And you can't just take a vehicle down and get it repaired anymore. You have to wait for them to say, okay, bring it to us in 2 weeks, and then maybe we'll get it to you by the end of the week. That's tough to do. So with the Ford Explorer, and most agencies around the state are starting to go to the Ford Explorer, and mainly for size and safety for the officers. With all the equipment that we put in these cars anymore, with the computers and laptops and radar units, and the Ford Explorer also comes in an all-wheel package, which is going to be best for weather situations. So I think overall that's the better vehicle for us to go to.
Oh,
In the future, I need to see all those numbers in front of me on paper. Does this meet our bid
I put one out there.
quality? I have this letter.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
I don't see 3 bids, which is what we require.
The state bid is allowed through our purchasing policy. Berger Chevrolet has a
Is Gordo
state bid.
Ford, is Gordo Ford
Signature Ford
our?
has a state bid, but they're gonna transfer it through them, I believe, is what the case was. Signature Ford has it for the Ford products, and Berger Chevrolet has it for the Chevy products. I don't know who has it for the Dodge, but there's none available. This late in the model year, we were surprised to even find one to begin with, so.
I get all that, and I get that we want this really quick because we're down a patrol car, but does this meet our,
Is this
Our
part, is this
policy.
part of the state bid process?
This is, and actually Signature Ford is the one that put me on to Gorno Ford, which
Right.
is the ones that found the vehicle.
So in your purchasing policy, we approved as a bid process, those items that were already previously bid by the state of Michigan for us. And this is one of them.
Yes.
but not with this dealer? I just want to make sure we're good. If you say we're good, I don't need any other information. Okay, thank you.
Chief and I talked about it and it,
But again, in the future, I'd like to see all this written down and not, I don't want to be in school. I don't want somebody telling me. I'd like to read it.
I got you.
right.
And I have the figures for the vehicle that we're speaking of tonight here also, that's available to you if you want to look at those specs.
Let me back to the point, when we first came off Wednesday night, I was hearing initially that when you call Signature Ford, they don't have any. You call the Dodge dealers, they don't have any. Call the Chevy for the two-wheel drive Tahoe, which would suffice, we don't need four-wheel drive, they don't have any. He did find the one four-wheel drive Tahoe, which again is about 18 grand more, and then somehow they hooked them up through somebody else to go through the state bid dealer that they did find one. So had this one not been found, we'd either have to buy the expensive Tahoe or wait till the
Right.
model start being produced in June.
Right.
yeah.
Because this is a time-sensitive matter, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the request for Chief Stallwell to receive the amount of $30,928 for the purchase of a Ford Explorer.
Report.
Okay.
Is that the right dollar amount? Is that the final total after the changes?
That would be the total cost after insurance.
Okay,
costs
this one,
covered.
okay, good
Yeah,
job.
Sorry, if I need to clarify that in the motion, I will. Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Does the motion make it clear? The motion says the chief to receive.
To receive.
Where does the money come from that he receives?
Receive authority to purchase, I guess.
And you're talking about the authority, not the actual funds.
What fund? Or,
Well, is the intent of your motion that he receives authority to do something, or that he receives funding to do something?
Her motion was to approve the purchase of the vehicle.
Approve
go.
purchases, okay. Sounds
That's
good
what I
to me.
heard.
Sounds good to me.
I mean, if
somebody
it were-
save me.
Is that what we
Okay.
do?
Question for our clerk then. Is it clear to the clerk what the motion is at this point?
I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Clear?
Further discussion? Melissa, roll call, yes.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kemp,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yep.
Hogan,
Yes.
Ross, absent.
I think that passed.
Thank you, Council.
Thank
Make it
you.
happen. I hate to be driving, first driver.
Yeah, I wanna ride.
Oh, I wanna ride.
Not in the big row.
You never breathe.
Let me retract that statement.
Yeah, I got a motion.
Just thinking about it.
Okay. I believe we're down to public comment.
Second public.
Yes, as I said, you get more than one bite of the apple at these meetings. Any public comments about anything at all? We are here to listen. Seeing none. Manager, staff, and attorney, you have doubtless reports for us. No attorney report.
The only thing I just want to share is Planning and Zoning News is a magazine put out whenever it comes out monthly. It has a lot of good information in there that are good for planning commissioners and zoning board of appeal members. It's about $60, I think, a year per subscription. The more you get, the better it gets. They can send it directly to the individual's home, so it's easier for them to just receive it at home and read it. That's one of the things that I'd like to get into the budget this coming year for the planning commissioners and zoning board of appeals. I gave you a sample one tonight. This one is a specific thing. Sometimes it's strictly about zoning board of appeals. Sometimes there's a lot of court cases in there, whether it's local courts, all the way up to the Supreme Court. It's a good document for those who have a hard time maybe making certain trainings or things like that, because they're not always readily available either.
Before we order that, let me check, because I get it by email, and I might be able to, I know you guys like that. I might be able to forward it, and then Joe could distribute it to everyone. But let me see if I can do that without,
Do you have the first 15 marijuana updates?
I do.
Could you forward those to me?
I think I can, if I can retrieve them, I will. But let me check on that, and then if not, we'll order it.
I ordered these back copies, and I just went like, well, I looked at the back copies, this one's it was a hot topic, so I thought, if you're gonna order back copy, might as well show an example, might as well get one that's relevant.
What would be the cost to provide counsel, ZBA, and the planning commission?
It depends on your numbers. I have the subscription, it
not a lot.
goes down, yeah. Maybe $600 for the whole year for both.
If I can't email it, it's still, you know, we'll get the final
We
price.
charge like $8.50 a year to mail it directly to the home.
And that's a monthly issue?
Yeah,
Yep.
a lot of good relevant information more than anything.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be towards our continuing ed
Yes.
budget.
Right, yeah, because sometimes people can always make it to something that Oakland County might have, and if they can, great, we have to put some money in for the planning commission and ZBA for that. But this is something that they can digest at their own time and place.
I like it, yeah, thanks for that.
You have more things to report?
No, that's it.
Clerk is good.
Okay. Well, I think we are just about to the point where we can adjourn.
Except we're gonna special joint meeting.
Let's announce a special meeting.
Announcement of the meeting, yeah.
Council comment.
Do you want me to announce the meeting? Because that could be my comment.
There's no go, girl.
Go to council comments.
Yeah.
Start at the end.
Might as well. Do we have a council comment from Kemp?
Do we need to do anything with this memorandum of understanding that was put forth before us tonight?
No, what I did with that was, there had been discussion about some need, you know, an urgency to get a MOU in effect with the Rotary Club for the use of the property, recreational and passive recreational uses at the parcels. So we just got a draft going. We just want you to take it and start looking at it. A memorandum of understanding is a very broad document, so don't look for too many specifics. It's an agreement to agree later. And basically, the way we drafted it was, we're interested, we want to hear about it, we want to move forward. We know we're going to have other agreements in place, but generally, at this juncture, we're supportive of the concepts, subject to future agreements.
We
And that-
actually approved it, that letter, remember? When I had made this motion to, did I say approve or receive and file?
You just received
We
and
received and
filed.
filed.
Sorry,
That's
I brushed
okay.
over that.
Yeah, I noticed it wasn't approved.
So we received and filed.
What village manager and I are doing is, we're gonna get a copy to Brian tomorrow morning, get Brian's input, start filling in some of the gaps here,
Yeah, they haven't seen it yet.
and then we're gonna get it approved. So we're, and like I said, just remember, a memorandum of understanding always anticipates another agreement at some point. It's just an understanding to move forward. And the way I've written it, you can terminate the memorandum of understanding for any reason at any time if along the process you just don't want to do it.
Thank you.
Okay, Helmuth, any comments from?
It actually has to include P. Can you ask us formally about Dayton Street?
Can I ask you on the agenda for next month's meeting?
And then if the department heads could give us their opinions on it before we make the decision, that'd be wonderful. God, I'm so cool.
Proud of herself.
Okay, comments from Logan?
Just that we have a special meeting coming up that I want to make everyone aware of. So the Planning Commission and Oxford Village Council will have a joint meeting, no pun intended. I like that one, CJ. That was good. To discuss the issues related to the recreational marijuana policy and how that has any kind of community impact. So just a reminder, all meetings are open to the public, and if you need any special accommodations, please notify our clerk within 72 hours and we will accommodate you.
When is the meeting?
Oh yeah, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? So it's going to be held on Tuesday, April 16th, here in the community room. The community room is located right over, if you go through the double doors, you can come through, I believe the double doors will be open on the opposite
Open.
side, the other entry, at 7 p.m.
6:30.
Oh, we changed it to 6:30, yes, 6:30.
That was an issue.
Apologies, yes. So April 16th, 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. I do not have any comments to add to what it's already presented.
I'll bring brownies to that meeting, of course.
Thank you.
Very appropriate.
I'll bring gummies.
I think a motion to adjourn would be in order with a time specified.
You got it.
So moved at 7:41. It's what I live for.
I know, I know that's your thing.
Especially the adjourn.
Oh, can you support that? Support?
We have a motion and support to adjourn at 7:41. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned.